So we live on an off-grid homestead, and a lot of people want to do that, but they're not really sure what it entails or what to expect. So they watch these videos of very nice homesteads and very pretty people, and they're doing all these wonderful things, and they're feeding their chickens, and they think, boy, that is so idyllic. Well, let me tell you something. It's not idyllic. Today I'm going to tell you the truth, the inconvenient truth about the reality of living on an off-grid homestead. So, number one, you are going to be tired all the time. I don't care if you're a former Olympic athlete. I don't care if you're a CrossFit expert. I don't care if you're 20 years old. You are going to be exhausted all day. That leads into my next thing, food. You're going to be growing all sorts of wonderful, organic, natural food in your vegetable garden. You might even have your own animals. You're going to think, oh, I'm going to be eating wonderful food 24 hours a day. The reality is, you're just not. You're going to be exhausted after working 16 hours a day. You're going to have to run into town because you live on an off-grid homestead, so you're middle of nowhere. So you're going to have to run into the nearest town, which in our case is 45 miles away. You're still going to be eating fast food. You're going to be too exhausted to cook after your 16-hour day. So, if you're thinking you're going to be eating these wonderful homegrown meals every day, it's just not the reality. So be prepared for that. Yes, you're going to grow your own food. You're going to have a lot of that, and there's going to be days where you eat very well. In fact, your diet in general will improve drastically, but it's not 100%. I'm telling you, you will be way too exhausted. Your wife will be way too exhausted. You will not be cooking after working 16 hours a day. Number two, related to working, money. Unless you have money, unless you've planned to do this, you're going to be broke. So you're going to probably need to work a job. So you're going to work your full-time homesteading job, and then you might even have to work another full-time job to pay the bills. And then you think, well, I'll just make my homestead make me money. Well, that's possible. You can do it, but that's yet a third job. So you're going to have your job of running your homestead. You're going to have your job of trying to turn your homestead into something to make money, and then you're going to have your job that actually is paying the bills. So just be prepared for that. You're going to work hard. You're going to need money. Some people are fortunate enough to have money. That's one thing I see on these homestead blogs is these people with these beautiful, 20-acre homesteads with these gorgeous houses, and it's because they're rich, So that's fine. If you have money, congratulations. For the rest of us who don't have money, you're going to work a lot. You're always going to be broke. You're going to have to work another job. Just the way it is. That brings me to my next thing. Health insurance. Make sure you have health insurance. Because you are going to get hurt. You are going to get hurt. You're going to jam your fingers in your hammer drill. You are going to get your hand caught in your basement door. You are going to slice your hand open in the kitchen doing the dishes. You are going to have reactions to the ragweed and be in the ER. These are all things that have happened to me. So something is going to happen. You're going to drop a tow hitch on your foot, which has happened to me. And this is after assuming that you're careful and you're thoughtful and you're I'm not even talking about chainsawing or cutting wood or anything dangerous. I'm just talking day-to-day living on a homestead is dangerous, and you're going to get hurt. Be as careful as you can, but make sure you have good health care, because I have been to the ER more times than I'd like to count because of our homestead. And we're very safe. We don't do reckless things, et cetera, but you will get hurt. So keep your health insurance or get good health insurance. Speaking of what to get, make sure you are friends with your neighbors. Because I'm Mr. Self-sufficient homestead guy. Great. That's how I feel. But when the 75-foot tree in front of your house falls down and blocks the road, you're going to need your buddy with another chainsaw to help you clear that. That's just the way things are here. You have to have good relationships with your neighbors. Doesn't matter if your neighbors are, you live in a really rural area and your neighbors are every 5 miles. You're going to need neighbors. You're going to need to be on good have good relationships with those neighbors. You're going to have friends with skills. You're going to have friends that know things that you don't know. If you don't know solar, if you don't know HVAC, if you don't know how to grow, if you don't know how to maintain your tractor, if you don't know whatever, if you don't have a chainsaw, if you don't have a log splitter, if you don't have, a well pump or how to fix a well pump, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. You can't do everything. You will never be an expert at everything. You need to have friends. You need to have neighbors, good relationships. The final thing is you are on an off-grid homestead. You have to rethink your relationship to utilities. Right now, a normal person doesn't think about natural gas heating their house, doesn't think about electricity coming in, doesn't think about these things. When you're on propane, when you have a wood-burning stove, when you have solar panels, you think differently. If a storm comes in and there's snow covering your solar panels, it's going to affect your solar panels. If it's the middle of the night and you have propane and your propane runs out, you're going to have to stack wood. You have to be prepared. So your relationship with utilities completely and fundamentally changes. You're on an off-grid homestead. I don't think people really appreciate what that means. There is nobody to call. You are in charge of your utilities. So you're going to have to get in front of that and be prepared and have that mindset of, what am I going to need? Is a storm coming in? Do I have enough wood stacked? Do I have enough propane bottles? Do I have a way of clearing my solar panels? Are my solar panel batteries fully charged? You got to rethink all of that and be prepared, because the reality is things are different on an off-grid homestead. So those are my few of my top things to think about when you think about a homestead. Because here's the final thing is, you're going to fall in love with it. You're going to become obsessed with it. It's hard work. You're going to be exhausted. All these other things I mentioned. But once you do it, you'll never look back. It changes how you think to be self-sufficient. It's worth every second. It's worth all the pain, all the suffering, all the loss of money, all of it. It's worth it. So if you do this, you will fall in love with it. And you won't understand that until you do it. And once you do it, in a couple of years, you'll watch this video and you go, you know what? Now I get what that crazy guy was talking about. So anyway, that's all I got for today. Enjoy and stay safe and stay warm.